Please welcome General Manager, Automotive, AWS, Wendy Bauer.
Good morning. My name is Wendy Bauer, and I am the General Manager for AWS Automotive. I am thrilled to be here with you today for the Automotive Leadership Session at reInvent 2022, and to share with you our vision for the reinvention of the automotive industry through technology. Today, we're going to be discussing how a more than 100-year-old industry is reinventing itself on behalf of customers around the world to offer more sustainable, more connected, more personalized, and overall, a better mobility experience for all. I'm also excited to be joined by Tara Vatcher from Stellantis, who will share more about Stellantis' vision for software-defined vehicles and what that means for them. Mark Solsana Palomar will also join us from AWS, and he'll share more about the work that we're doing to accelerate the reinvention of how automotive software is developed. If you can dream it, you can do it. This is more true in an industry that is going through not only reinvention, but also reimagining itself. The industry is adapting 100-year-old plus technology to modern day capabilities. That transformation and what it is going through is what is going to offer us sustainable mobility, connected mobility, and in the future, autonomous vehicles. The industry is at an inflection point. We have an opportunity to reinvent how we move around the globe. From goods, services, and people, they're looking to the cloud to find efficiencies and turn data into insights, into new information that is actionable, that will ultimately improve customer experience. My role allows me to travel around the globe and to interact with customers who are now seeing the power of data, analytics, and IoT in this journey. There is never a more exciting time to be in the automotive industry now, where that is being shaped. New experiences and exciting experiences for customers. Today, we're going to hear from Stellantis how they're transforming their business into a software-focused company and how AWS is partnering with them on that journey to deliver the necessary tools and capabilities to turn that vision into reality. While we talk about what's ahead of us, we also reflect on how far we've come. Think about the Model T. When it was first created, you could get it in one color. Think of the options today around personalization. They're endless and seemingly continuing to grow. We've evolved from a basic one-color option in the Model T to a wealth of opportunities and options when we think about electric vehicles, sports vehicles, autonomous mobility, and even other forms of mobility beyond just the common vehicle. These are now all being configured and available by virtue of the cloud. In the next iteration of the automobile and the mobility industry at large, it will be driven by environmental, societal, and technological trends that are reimagining the way we now interact with that vehicle. So what are the macro trends that are driving the reinvention of the industry? Connected cars. Today, more than 90% of vehicles on the road are connected in some way, of net new vehicles being manufactured and sold each year. Think about how far we've come in just a few short years. That connectivity is the baseline for the ability to continually update features and that customer experiences that will continue through the life of that vehicle. Today, approximately 246 million connected cars are on the road globally. In those vehicles, however, most of the ability to update those vehicles is limited to the infotainment system or the navigation system. Systems like advanced driver assistance related to safety, convenience, or power steering, those systems have to be updated by the manufacturer. With the next generation of connected vehicles, that will change. The cloud is going to enable updates for the vehicle as a whole, not just subsystems. And they will continue to deliver more features and capabilities more frequently and regularly. The result of this means that the amount of data between vehicles in the cloud is going to exponentially grow. That is going to have to be managed. But think of the insights and understanding we will have in the future that we don't have today or in the past. A second example. For 100 years, we've been comfortable with gas and fossil fuels powering vehicles. We all know that is shifting. With the shift to electric powertrains, not only has the industry had to think about how it now designs, manufactures, and sells those vehicles, but it has also had to think through how it is powering those vehicles, and the infrastructure needed to power those vehicles has also needed reinvention. It has had to transform how the vehicle can be integrated into the smart grid and also into smart cities of the future. The automotive industry, just like any other industry, is being driven by macro trends of technology and society. Let's take a look at just a few. First, sustainability. Customers now expect and demand that this industry is going to contribute to global citizenship goals and to provide sustainable mobility for years to come around the world. Second, technology in the vehicle. Technology that was once pioneered in, for example, smartphone space. We're seeing how those trends can be enabled and brought into the vehicle. And we're learning what it meant as another industry went through transformation to evolve what is possible today. And those learnings are now being applied as mental models of how we think what is possible in vehicles. And third, customer experience and personalization. Much in the same way, we are very appreciative of how apps and solutions are improving our lives. We expect automakers to deliver that same capability seamlessly into our vehicles that seamlessly interacts with the rest of our lives, giving us apps, updates, and personalized content tailored just for us. So AWS Automotive. If you were here at reInvent last year, you would have seen it was our announcement of what AWS for Automotive was. And so here we are 1 year later, and we're really excited to share the progress that we're seeing of what we have brought to our customers, the work that we're doing. But AWS for Automotive, we're on a mission to play our role in helping the automotive industry tackle challenges that they're faced with. This is how we see it. Our role is to partner with and help customers to think through the industry transformation, but ultimately get to their vision of what that transformation means to them and their company and the role and place that they want to take in future mobility. And then to enable and actualize faster and better transformation so that they can deliver clear and compelling business value to their organization and to their customers. And while they do that, it will only come through powerful collaboration. This is why we support the automotive industry with AWS for Automotive. And we do that in the 3 dimensions of the future, faster, together. First, the future. With the wide spectrum of compelling opportunities and things that our customers to focus on, we also see our customers really thinking through what is going to be their place in this future industry. What is their role in this evolving industry landscape? And what does it mean to their business models that may be shifting? Most of all, what is their North Star? In working with customers, AWS can help. We're starting by collaborating with them to help them shape and think how they get to that vision that's right for them. And then we work with them to develop technical solutions that ultimately create the right optimized solution, tailor-fit to enable their vision to become reality. And only when we understand that vision, then that technical strategy and solution, will we start to talk about how we're going to execute it and deliver it and realize it. Having worked with more automotive clients globally and across the value chain, and on more projects and on use cases than anyone else, AWS is uniquely positioned to strategically collaborate with our customers in this way. We draw upon our wide industry knowledge and insights to help customers look towards the future. I'll give you two examples that you see here on the screen. First, Stellantis. As I mentioned, you'll be hearing directly from Stellantis today. But in January of 2022, we announced a strategic collaboration with Stellantis, where Stellantis selected AWS as its preferred cloud partner for vehicle platforms so that together we can help enable them to deliver upon their long-term vision of becoming a software-focused company. And with BMW, a very different example, where AWS and BMW together are jointly developing innovative cloud offerings, but also focusing on upskilling their organization so that they can truly become and implement what it means to be a data-driven organization. Second, faster. When a customer has its vision established, and now we think, how do we action that? We know in this industry, speed matters. We've got their vision identified. The next imperative is helping our customers get there quickly. In order to actualize faster transformation, AWS is pairing our market-leading cloud technology capabilities and infrastructure with the most complete set of automotive-specific, purpose-built offerings for our customers and needs in this industry. In addition, that is extended to the work that we are doing with our great AWS partner network that is also building industry-specific offerings. Our solutions are purpose-built that we're focused on, and you've probably heard about a few. If you were at the IoT session on Monday, we talked about IoT FleetWise, or perhaps the collaboration with BlackBerry, you've heard of the work that we're doing on Ivy. These solutions are examples that are purpose-built for auto customers to help them innovate faster, optimize cost in use cases that are relevant and important to their business, and ultimately elevate their customer experiences to previously impossible levels. We're making transformation possible to be faster while we bring the capabilities of AWS broadly across AI and machine learning. For example, in the vehicle, in the cloud, and now at the edge. Connected mobility providers and leading IoT services are making it easier to connect vehicles to the cloud, to gather the data, to analyze the data and get to insights, and drive to action across individuals and vehicle fleets. This is leading to that more personalized experiences that our customers are looking for, and it's enabling our automotive manufacturing customers to develop new business models tailored towards their future business visions. Another example, product engineering. We see customers leveraging high-performance compute and large simulation capabilities. Or third, we see customers re-architecting vehicle software to create the next generation of how they develop software that is in the vehicle ahead of the curve. Two examples, Rivian. Last year at re:Invent, we announced publicly, jointly with Rivian, a strategic collaboration where Rivian selected AWS as its preferred cloud partner to drive efficiency, performance, and refinement of their electric vehicles. Or a different example, Aurora, who's leading in autonomous vehicle development, selected AWS for their collaborative partner in the development of the Aurora driver stack. And third, together, we're working with customers, and it's how we work with customers. While market-leading technology and infrastructure is absolutely key, AWS knows that equally important differentiator is how we collaborate. We're working with customers to unleash the potential through partnerships and offering that most extensive community and partner network coupled with the breadth of our AWS capabilities. Our community is helping to support the industry's transformation by bringing together AI, machine learning, IoT, high-performance compute, data lakes, and partner offerings, and thinking of how we bring those together for those optimized solutions. That is what it's going to take to transform our customers' business. With our partners, we're focusing on ensuring our customers have the right tools and the right capabilities in all of the right places around the world. 2 examples. With Toyota, Toyota selected AWS as their collaborative partner to build the Toyota Connected Mobility Services platform. And with BlackBerry, where we have a collaborative partnership on co-developing a capability called Ivy that I referenced earlier, or an announcement you may have heard earlier this week, AWS and BlackBerry are partnering in areas where together we bring our capabilities to end customers who have chosen to work with both of us individually. While I've shared many customer examples, there are so many more customers that we are working with across the entire automotive landscape to deliver experiences, services, and solutions that play their role in the future of mobility. So the journey to software-defined vehicles. Many of these customers and so many more are now focused on the biggest trend in the industry, software-defined vehicles. A software-defined vehicle is one that manages its operations, adds functionality, and enables new features and updates primarily and/or entirely through software. Software-defined vehicles are the next evolution of the automotive industry, and they're the foundation of so much innovation yet to come when you think of examples like autonomous driving. However, with this change comes the shift from a traditional approach that the automotive industry has taken around hardware-based development processes as well. With the industry transformation, you'll see the shift away from electromechanical systems into intelligent, expandable, mobile electronic devices that can continuously be updated is the key. From a technical lens, we simplify what an SDV is into 3 categories. First, the functions are enabled by software, and these functions in the software are abstracted from hardware. Second, the functions are enabled using a cloud-native microservices development model. And third, the functions can and are continuously updated. While we understand that that's what it is technically, we also understand that the end customers have to see benefit from this shift for the market to adopt it and desire it. For end customers, software-defined vehicles are promising increased value through the life of a vehicle. The days of you buying a vehicle and that vehicle forever having those capabilities and never advancing, that is the shift point. With software-defined vehicles, that vehicle will continue to be able to receive updates on existing capabilities and also receive new functions over time. The result of this is that the vehicles get better, they get smarter, they get more valuable to you as the end consumer with these updates. For vehicle manufacturers, it is opening the doors to new business models for automakers. With these new open doors and the increased data and insights that they're going to garner from this software-defined vehicles, they can better understand their customers and continue to innovate new solutions tailored towards their interest. And for developers, software-defined vehicles are simply becoming a new innovation platform. As all of this is occurring, the amount of data that has to be managed and the insights that you can gain from it is exponentially growing. As the industry is embarking on this journey, not only is it the technology capabilities in the vehicles that our automakers are challenged with solving and reimagining and reinventing, we also see it shaping how they think about their existing business processes and how those have to change. We see them evaluating their organizational structures and the capabilities of that organization that they have today, and how those need to continue to evolve or completely shift in some cases, and how they think about their product and managing products and services in a new way going forward. This includes not only automotive manufacturers, but also critical suppliers and engineering and IT partners in the process. Here with us today is one of the largest automakers in the world, Stellantis. Let's listen and learn how Stellantis is thinking about the journey to software-defined vehicles. I'm excited to welcome Tara Vatcher here from Stellantis.
Thank you, Wendy. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Tara Vatcher, and I lead the software architecture and development for the new platforms at Stellantis. So just to give you a little bit of history, I've actually been in the software and controls industry for about 28 years in many different domains. Only the last 8 years have I joined the automotive domain. And what I want to do is go back a little bit and share with you about Stellantis's vision. So Stellantis was formed in 2021, and it was the combination of two very successful and experienced organizations, both of which had iconic brands and very diversified product portfolios. Both companies were in the process of transitioning and enhancing their software and connected services, and it's this now that we're trying to accelerate with Stellantis. So what you see here is looking back at 2021 and what we shared at Software Day, at our Software Day. We had approximately 10 years of collective connected services experience. We had approximately 12 million in monetizable connected vehicles globally. And we had about 400,000 subscribing customers. With that, our software-enabled revenues was approximately $400 million. Our business plan is now to expand that, and to expand that on 5 key pillars. And you see the pillars are here. And that is with our 14 iconic brands and with the growth in connected services that are coming. So if you look at each one of these key pillars, the services and subscriptions, what falls into those categories are safety and security, as well as navigation and real live data, for example, traffic data and traffic information, remote operations, and communications. By ensuring each new service and subscription is uniquely tied to our brands, that enhances the customer experience and really re-emphasizes that real love that they have for those brands. We then go to pillar number 2, which is features on demand. Customers can choose the features that they would like on their vehicles. It could be a one-time opportunity. It could be a monthly service that they're looking to include. It's really up to them. But they have the ability to do this in real time. Our vision is that all of these features will be available over the air, which is very key right? So the customers feel that they can upgrade their vehicle over the air at any given time in real time. The third one is data as service and fleet services. And this includes features such as usage-based insurance or data collected information to provide more fleet information and fleet management. This enhances the knowledge and how our customers use our vehicles or how the fleets use our vehicles. The fourth one is vehicle pricing and resale value. Our research shows that our customers see value in advanced automotive driving systems as well as enhanced connectivity features and infotainment. So with that, we believe that there's an increased value customers are willing to pay for our products as long as we continue to provide those services and provide them over the air so that even as their product has already been delivered, they can see that value in resale. And then lastly is the conquests and reselling, which is probably more of your typical vision when you think of an automotive supplier. This final pillar really defines our efforts to continue creating very competitive vehicles in the market so that we can continue to get those customer conquests and enhance our service retention. With that said, so with those 5 pillars and with the vision of what we believe connected vehicles will grow over the next 10 years and even beyond, plus with our 14 iconic brands, we believe that the exponential value for the customer, as well as for Stellantis, for software-enabled services and revenues, will achieve $20 billion by 2030. So sometimes when I say Stellantis, people don't necessarily associate us with the brands, but definitely the brands I think people can associate with. So Stellantis really is Peugeot, Citroën, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Maserati. There are several different brands that many people associate with Stellantis, so I definitely like to mention that. Next slide. So, in order to enable this, in order to ensure that we can deliver on all of those different key pillars that we talk about, what's incredibly important is the acknowledgement that technology is constantly evolving. And we need to create future-proof platforms, which is why our strategy is structured around developing open platforms that will continuously evolve. Platforms where software cycles are disconnected from hardware cycles. Platforms that are designed around their capabilities, where again, features can be continuously updated and added over the air. And platforms that will become better over time, thanks to the artificial intelligence. So 3 all-new AI platforms available and deployed at scale in 2024, which is Stella Smart Cockpit, Stella Brain, and Stella AutoDrive. This will be the foundation of Stellantis's scale and for all of our products that we refer to, so all of our brands that we refer to. And we believe this will provide the Stellantis value for the long run for 2030. Now with that, in order to enable this, we partnered, as Wendy mentioned, in January 2022 with AWS. And we partnered with them on at least one effort on the virtual engineering workbench. And this will enable these platforms. So developing vehicle software is complex, especially when you're looking at all of the different entities that contribute to that development of software. For one, portability, right? Today, you could perceive that as being very fragmented, very manual in terms of build, and even very manual in terms of validation. This actually reduces the frequency, the scope, and potentially the quality of the software that's being delivered, right? So somewhat inefficient. We then look at the availability. If software development teams are limited by the availability of the software that they have, this then will not allow them to actually release their software in a very, let's say, robust way, but also not just in a robust way, but ensure that the artifacts have been thoroughly tested. We then look at security, right? The automotive software realm is very strict on requirements around security and safety. And we need to have an environment that ensures that we're testing and proving out for that. And then lastly, testing at scale. There are many different ways to test, right? But you also want to make sure you're building upon that, and for every software change, you're doing appropriate regression testing. And this is also extremely important. So then we look at what does AWS and the Virtual Engineering Workbench provides. So I mentioned Stellantis is a very global organization. We have 5 R&D centers. We need to ensure that our developers have what they need to do their job appropriately, so that they have the means to do their testing and their implementation end to end. And when we say end to end, we're talking about the software implementation all the way down to the testing. The other important thing is, as new engineers come on board, having that environment in place for them that's consistent and configured already so that day one, they can get started immediately. They do not need to worry about what settings do I need to have for my environment? What tools do I need to select? This is all brought together within the workbench. We talked a little bit about hardware dependency. This platform is a virtual platform, and it ensures that we can test in a virtual environment without the reliance of the hardware. And at the end, faster time to market is what prevails. And this is what we're truly trying to achieve for all of our developers. So where are we today? We started this journey on January 2022, and we have come a long way. Today, we have increased the agility and speed for our developers who have onboarded. So we have onboarded several engineers within our software-defined vehicle space. We have reduced, from the time we started, we have reduced the onboarding time, really from months down to weeks, and even now down to minutes. We've enabled scalability and security, so the actual developers have the means where they have the environment that, again, that they can implement and do their validation on scale. And then lastly, fostering collaboration. So again, I mentioned that we have 5 R&D centers. This really ensures that all of them have that same environment, have the same pipelines that they can actually develop as one unified group. With that, I'm very excited to see the next couple of months and what more we can achieve. I hope to be able to report that we're obviously getting towards our final goal. And with that, I will bring it back to Wendy, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Tara, for sharing the exciting vision that Stellantis has and the journey that we're taking together to help them accelerate towards becoming a software-driven organization and bringing software-defined vehicles to life. At AWS, we are excited to help the auto industry tackle these complex challenges. Tara touched on the complexity that it means to our automakers of defining and developing software for automotive systems. We're working with our customers through some of these complex challenges, but many of these challenges also require working across the industry to simplify not only what they do within their organization, but how they verify that system, its capabilities across the entire landscape. Some specific examples: AWS is working across the industry, as I mentioned, but in doing that, we're working to drive standards. We're working to help and advocate and accelerate getting to hardware parity for our customers. And of course, we do that while we continue to develop new first-party capabilities and services and solutions, as well as working with our partners. Next, Mark Solsana-Palomar will join us to dive deeper into what AWS is doing, specifically around the automotive software development process. I'm excited to welcome Mark to the stage to share much of the great innovation he and his team are doing. Mark?
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Tara. It's great to see some of the initial outcomes that we have out of the engagement between Stellantis and AWS. First of all, let me mention we actually have great demos and great workshops specifically focused on the automotive space. I would encourage everybody to go and visit us at the 10 outside of the CISR Forum for some cool demos and good setup. Let me start with how we got here. The AWS team expertise in automotive has grown significantly in the last year. Right now, we have a group of people that brings experiences coming from, of course, automotive, the cloud, but other areas as well that are bringing new, fresh angles from consumer devices and others. We've been able to step back, look at the challenges in the industry around software development, and try to bring that fresh view, a fresh angle. Doing what AWS does best, we've been talking to customers, listening to their challenges, and identifying what we could change and do better for the overall industry. The reality is, as Tara mentioned earlier, vehicle code complexity continues to grow inside of the vehicle. We are seeing a whole consolidation effort from a large number of controllers and a very complex wire harness that connects all these different compute units into more centralized level of compute. We are also seeing a transition towards more scalable software architectures operating within the car in order to address the functional needs. On top of that, we are seeing continuous growth on requirements around driving assistance, autonomous driving, safety and security requirements that just makes that code base grow bigger. Here we have a couple of numbers that are pretty common across the industry, where you have a option vehicle today has more than 100 ECUs. The lines of code, as you can imagine, is large, and the complexity of the engagement in the vehicle for delivering that project across the OEM teams, Tier 1 software vendors, just continues to grow. And also, as Tara mentioned, it is becoming a global challenge. So we've been trying to internalize the challenges around the journey of software-defined vehicle. Software-defined vehicle, or SDV, remains a very abstract topic where the different parties in the industry, OEMs, Tier 1s, and others, they still have their own personal definition. What we've done at AWS, we actually have identified 3 action areas where we are starting to develop and invest and deliver. First area is hardware abstraction. How do you decouple software from hardware? We have some initiatives already ongoing with our partners at BlackBerry, with BlackBerry Ivy, and we are contributing towards the SOAFEE Alliance to accelerate this space. The second one, something that we've covered in the slides as well today, the software lifecycle management, where we want to make sure that we enable you to bring the right tools for accelerating software development, enabling testing as early as possible in the process, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. And with that validation, will eventually increase velocity of your overall project and delivery of software. Finally, vehicle data management. We want the industry to have the best possible tools to capture and understand the data that in order to provide the right level of service to the customers, and leverage tools like AWS IoT Fleetwise to collect, transform, and transfer vehicle data in near real time to the cloud. Of course, we are not doing this alone. We are, as you can see in the demos outside, as well as some of the workshops that we've been having this week here at reInvent, we are collaborating across the industry with different parties in order to provide the best possible tools for the development community. Software-defined vehicle and the development tools environment and the cloud are an ideal meeting ground for all these parties to come together and collaborate. That collaboration should accelerate the industry journey towards delivering that promise of software-defined vehicle. Now, how can the cloud help in this space? Out of the collaboration with customers like Stellantis, we see that the cloud can add a lot of value towards that journey. First value that we are focusing on is virtual workbenches. We want to help customers bring in the right tools to their developer community. And the result of having that tools available at the right time to the right developer results in a faster delivery and a higher confidence of the software that result out of that effort. Second one is virtual electronic control units, or virtual ECUs. We allow customers to create a virtual representation of these controllers, let's say, for example, a seat controller, in order to interact with your development needs and your functional development. And finally, native Amazon Machine Images, or AMIs, that allows customers to package the software stack that is ready to run on AWS instances, and taking advantage of the parity of ARM in the cloud and in the vehicle, we provide that level of seamless integration between the cloud environment and your embedded traditional environment as well. With all these solutions combined, we are helping reduce the dependency on hardware for the automotive embedded developer. The logistics and some of the challenges around hardware availability is well known, as well as some of the direction of growth towards more software to being developed in a larger community. That can be helped with some of these solutions in the cloud. Here is a high-level representation of the stack that runs in two different ARM environments that we just discussed. In this case, on the left, you have the software stack running in the vehicle on an ARM compute unit, what is traditionally called as an HPC. And on the right-hand side, you see an equivalent stack that is running on an ARM-based system, Graviton, in the cloud. With the parity at the instruction set level, we can now provide equivalent stacks that enable you to take advantage of the cloud development agility and availability, and ultimately generate binaries that are consistent between the cloud environment and the in-vehicle environment. Accelerating, of course, verification and validation activities. You can leverage it from the cloud at scale. But some of these technical solutions can only go so far. We've also been thinking about how can we take a look at the traditional B-model approach and accelerate the overall software delivery with the tools that are now available to us. Here you have a picture of the traditional V-model for automotive software development that probably you've seen several times before. You have software development on the left and software validation on the right. In the traditional model, as the software complexity continues to grow, it results in finding issues very late in the process. When issues are found in areas in the stages of software integration, for example, addressing these issues, root causing them, becomes an expensive and time-consuming exercise, ultimately putting your delivery time frame at risk. We continue to hear from customers that they want to change this model and accelerate the shift left exercise. By shift left, we mean bringing the testing exercises and capabilities as close to the developer as possible. We would like to have as many tests and validation next to each development stage, so the software can progress between the stages with the maximum level of confidence and ultimately deliver the higher quality of an end product at the end. From our point of view, the industry needs the best possible tools, as many as possible, to all developers in the engagement process itself. With that, I'm really happy to share with you today the availability of BlackBerry QNX on AWS Graviton. This is a huge enablement for the industry, and we're very, very excited about our collaboration with our QNX partners as we are bringing the truly embedded environment into the cloud. This gives your development teams the availability to bypass, in many cases, the hardware dependencies, and enabling the integration and testing together with your existing cloud development workflows that are available. Allow me to go a little bit more into detail with a couple of technical slides along the way. And to be fair, these are probably going above the traditional 100 level that you see in these presentations, but I think it will be able to highlight how all those different building blocks are being used. By running QNX on AWS Graviton, you are able to replicate the operating environment that exists within the vehicle or within the compute element within the vehicle at the OS level. You can take advantage of the safety characteristics of QNX OS and the agility of the cloud instances together. It allows you to integrate and validate your software application without depending on the hardware, but always keeping the ultimate target environment in mind. With that level of fidelity, it makes it easier to transition applications from the cloud environment that is connected with your CI/CD pipelines, test infrastructure, and validation with your hardware target, and make that seamless transition. Taking this one level deeper, we are also enabling in by having QNX OS available on AWS Graviton, all the developer toolbox that comes along with it. These AMIs also are possible to share with all the different parties involved in a complex development environment. Traditionally, for a vehicle project, you have tier ones, software vendors, integrators, all participating in the building blocks of the vehicle. Here, we can normalize those environments across the board with the software stack at the OS level, all the tools for developing that stack, as well as the unit testing and infrastructure for validation, and enable that confidence for the software to be promoted towards the end hardware. That is still needed, by the way. This way, the integration of components into a virtual vehicle system, it allows for quick and turnaround times and ultimately just optimize your software processes. Lastly, you can even improve and enhance those virtual environments beyond the OS, introducing AMIs with middleware software. One common environment that is being used for the application level is AUTOSAR middleware, and we have also available KPAT AUTOSAR stack available as an AMI. This makes your virtual toolbox even more powerful. You have the OS, you have the middleware, the environment, and your whole infrastructure working together. Ultimately, our goal is to cloud-enable the developer experience. All these working together. The goal, of course, is accelerating that V-model process that we talked earlier and achieve a more iterative approach to vehicle features beyond what is traditionally done. I should mention that iteration, that development model behind what we've been calling about an infinite loop exists already today in some other areas of the vehicle. For example, it's used commonly in autonomous driving or database models, where data comes in, it's collected, reaches the developers, we iterate on models get deployed, new data gets acquired, and so on and so forth. The same iterative model can be applied to functional areas of the vehicle as well, as we see over here. And the idea is with the availability of virtual machines, a large portion of your developer community can iterate on the development and reach the next level of reference board dependencies with higher confidence, and ultimately reducing the overall time frame as the software gets promoted at the different stages between the reference board, the hardware in the loop stages, test vehicles, and ultimately the customer. Hardware in the loop is still needed, and it's going to be there for quite some time. The question is, how do you make those cycles that are extremely valuable, expensive, and scarce as optimal as possible? So you need to make sure that you take advantage of all the validation opportunities in advance, and the closer you get that validation to the developer, the easier it is for you to root cause the bugs and the different issues that come along the way. So a cloud-first automotive software development is what we are enabling here today. And as a summary, I want to highlight what a cloud automotive software development gives you in an environment. It gives you the opportunity to collaborate across the industry. You have internal and external teams have now a common ground of collaboration, not individual hardware boxes that they have at their desk that they need to be coordinated and aligned. Here is a natural common ground for them to use the same level of tools and the same level of infrastructure. Of course, with that, you have less necessity to have hardware available for all your larger developer community. And ultimately, as you take advantage of all these tools, your software grows with higher confidence and higher quality. With that, I'll transition back to Wendy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark, for sharing more on how AWS is innovating in areas that are critical for reinventing and reimagining how the automotive industry will be developing automotive software in the future. Today, we've shared a bit on the trends in the industry, what we're all experiencing, and how the industry itself is being reinvented and reimagined, from what it is offering to the business processes that it takes to do that, and how that is impacting the workforce. While many of these challenges that the industry is facing, what we do see is they are complex, and it takes the collaboration of many partners coming together to solve those. At the same time, the pace of innovation in this industry is at one that is unprecedented. We have never seen the pace of innovation in automotive as we're seeing today. We heard firsthand from Tara at Stellantis how they're defining that vision around a software-defined vehicle, what it means to their end customers, and how they recognize they have to reshape their organization and how they work. And she shared how she is leading her organization to build the tools and capabilities to give her workforce what it needs to bring that vision to life. And with Mark, we heard the work that AWS is doing very broadly. Again, we know that we can't do it alone. So it's not only the services and solutions that AWS is building, it's purpose-built automotive solutions, it's the work that we're doing with our partners, and that extends into efforts to drive industry standards, tackle challenges like hardware parity, and bringing that together. And it's through the accumulation of all of that work that together it will take to shape this industry. So I'll leave you with a couple takeaways that I would ask you to all remember. As we think about AWS for automotive, it's back to the future, defining it together, faster, bringing that innovation and speed, and together, the collaboration that it will take all of us to help this industry reinvent itself and reimagine what is possible, and then go deliver it. Second takeaway, AWS is working across the entire automotive value chain, tackling so many complex problems. While today's session highlighted software-defined vehicle, We can't underscore the other efforts that we have to take shape in these companies to enable bringing a software-defined vehicle to life inside of manufacturing, inside of supply chain, inside of the rest of the organization that we know has to come together to support the organizations to deliver what they do. And so that transformation extends throughout the entire enterprises of these companies. And we know that together on this journey, we can and we will help shape the journey of the industry of the future and what it means to bring safe, connected, and personalized mobility to all in the world. On behalf of Tara, Mark, myself, and the entire AWS automotive community, I want to thank you for joining today's session. And a couple quick highlights that I would like to say if you're looking for additional value-added sessions auto-related today. Tara gave a highlight and overview of the work that we're doing with Stellantis. At 6:15 today, there's an AUT 203 session that's actually going to deep dive into that workbench, and you can actually have an opportunity to see real live demos. And there's also an opportunity across the street at the industry showcases to see many great demos that we're doing with our automotive partners. So thanks again for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day.